Well, I've always, for many years, been involved with creative music education in schools, in school projects, because I think it's important that first that the children have a creative experience as a part of their education, and also to expose young people to the creative arts, whether it's music, dance, or literature, and to maybe inspire them to be more creative in their own lives, you know? So I'm always inspired. It's the most important work I do when I work with education as a composer, because you're also developing audiences for the future. And it's important to young people exposed to music, this kind of music when they're young, you know, because they were open. As a composer, I always wanted to be a part of the society. I just didn't want to be isolated doing my music for a certain select kind of group of people. You know, that wasn't enough for me. Music should be very much a part of society. And one way to do that as a composer is to be involved in creative education, you know, taking your music into schools and doing workshops with young people, showing them that they also can be creative people, you know. And so I think it's been the most important work I've done, you know. And it's connected me to society too. I've learned much this way, you know, and it's a way to teach children that no matter who they are, you know, they have an original idea. No one sings like them, no one thinks like them. And you have to teach them to believe in their individuality when they're young. It's very important. I was lucky to have music teachers who believed in me. They saw a vision. You need a teacher with a vision of the student who gives them an idea what to do, you know? And then the kids would make fun of me because I was kind of a strange musician. And he told them, you may laugh at him now, but one day you're gonna have to pay to hear him play. And they said, oh yeah, well, it happened, you know what I mean? And so I was inspired to do that myself, to try to have as an educator, you know, to try to instill creativity in other young people, to pass the legacy. Well, I think sometimes you learn things that carry your whole life from sometime before you're 20 years old. And it can come from very inspiring teachers or your family, you know. And my music teacher way back in Oklahoma when I was 16, he told me if you take care of your instrument will take care of you. And that became true in my life. Well, I was approached by the orchestra to write this piece for the orchestra and for amateur groups like the djembe group and the school class and the choir. And I thought this was an exciting challenge for me to bring professionals together with amateurs. I called the piece The New Spring because spring is always a symbol for renewal. And my idea is that hopefully we can find a new spring within ourselves and within each other. And perhaps the first time where we can feel really a oneness and equality with all living beings, especially with humans, you know? And it's a bit inspired from Vivaldi's Four Seasons. I call it Vivaldi Goes to Africa, you know?
What is it you're hoping the audience will get out of your piece as a listening experience?
Mm-hmm. Well, first, I hope they like it, you know, and I hope it speaks to them, the ideas, you know, and it's a very, in a way, positive piece for me, you know, and so I hope they can take away this positiveness, you know, from the text and maybe they can pat their feet to the rhythms, you know, it's good. And I hope it makes them smile. It makes me smile. Well, I wrote it, I have to smile. But I hope they'll get some joy out of it, you know, some sunshine. That's my hope with all these combinations, because they perhaps never seen a setting like this with the drums and the choir and me on trumpet and the orchestra. You know, they may think, wow, classical music can be fun.
Wir wünschen einen neuen Frühling. Einen Frühling in unseren Herzen und miteinander.
Guten Morgen. Ich wünsche innen, alle, einen, neue Frühling. You have to listen to every piece speaks to you, how it should be done, you know. There's some pieces I worked on for 10, 20 years, you know. You had to wait. It's like being a wine guy. You put it in the cellar and then it's time to, you have to know when it's time to open, you know. There's some pieces that come in one vision, you know. So it's in this piece, it came pretty quick, maybe 4 months, you know. Some pieces are more difficult, some, you know, but this one, it flowed. Because I was inspired by the Besetzung, the combination I was using. Yeah. I think for me, creativity is intellectual and spiritual together. You know, one speaks to the other at certain times, you know, and you just have to be open and listen when it, you know, because like I said, sometimes I get ideas and I don't know where they came from. How did I get this? Where this is like something comes to me from inside or whatever, you know? And then when the piece is finished, I realize, oh, I did this. Like this piece, I was like, wow, how did I do that? Wow, where was I? He was in another state, you know? But the intellectual part, you organize the ideas, inspiration, you know? That's kind of my concept. They always work together, these both combinations, the spiritual and the intellectual.